Well, welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast, where our goal is for you to become the leader that your dream requires. And I'm really thankful that you're here today because you are in for a treat. The person that I have on this podcast with me today is I don't want to say he's my favorite guest, but he's my favorite guest simply because this guy is accomplished. He's a man of faith. And he just is the man. So I think that you guys are going to get a lot of value out of this conversation. Today I have with me Ronnie Doss, who is he's a speaker. He's a leadership trainer. He's been doing it for 16 years. He's done leadership trainings for participants in 11 different countries. He's worked with Fortune 100 and 500 companies. He's worked with American Express, Zoom, AT&T. He also works with government agencies like the United States Air Force and NASA. He frequently speaks at churches, nonprofits, top universities. This guy is the real deal. Okay. He's an author of various books. A couple of his titles, Leading Lions, Dig, and he just recently came out with a new book called Colossal Considerations. And more importantly than that, not only is he accomplished, he's a family man. He's a husband of 18 years. He's a father of 2 daughters. And I cannot express to you enough just how thankful I am to call him a friend. Please help me and join me in welcoming Ronnie Doss to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. Ronnie, how are you, sir?
What's up? I'm doing great, man. I'm excited. This is gonna be good, bud.
Yeah, listen, I'm so grateful that you decided to say yes. And I believe just with your insight, your experience, is going to be helpful for a lot of us. So like all of us are in the learning seat today as you drop some gems. Because if it's anything like our alignment meeting before this, oh my goodness, they're in for a treat. But one of our traditions here on the podcast is to simply ask, when did you start building your dream lifestyle?
So, well, there's two. I think there's two phases to it. I chose to become an entrepreneur after college, and in doing that, I started in the real estate world and the finance world, and was doing well. But a shift happened for me when we were talking basketball earlier. I fell on the basketball court. I broke both my wrists. Had to have surgery. So, like on I can show you on this. I got scars on my both wrists. I had to have surgery, and my stepfather, who was a physician at the time, came to be with me during the surgery. After the surgery was over, he went back home to North Carolina where he practiced. And just very soon after that, he passed away very suddenly. And my mom asked me to speak at his funeral. And so I spoke at his funeral, and that's where I felt like, I broke my hands, which kind of signifies how we do our work. And I feel like God's calling me to something different. And so I'm going to go with that. And I went with it. And now, as I look back, I tell people this a lot, like, don't wait until you crash into the floor or have some accident for you to be willing to say, hey, is there another way of doing how I've been doing my life? And don't wait on a crisis to cause you to be committed. I hit the floor. It changed things. I feel like God was saying, hey, let's do something different. And I went for it. And that was January 2nd of 2006. Goodness. And that's when I started pursuing speaking and training. And I got asked to speak in some churches. And then I met a guy that had a leadership development company. He liked me. I worked for him. He taught me some stuff. He passed away. And now as you said, it's like 16 years full time, been going for it. And it's been amazing, but it started to shift for me when I simply had this accident where I fell, broke my hands, and it was like this, all of a sudden, a pause on how I had been doing my life. And a lot of times I think what happens is we deal with these scenarios that we look like are crisis. They look like they're these terrible challenges or problems, but really the problems become opportunities if we have the right approach, the right mindset toward them. And that's what I did. And thankfully, I had the great support of my wife. She believed in me, and I kept pursuing it. And then one thing led to the next. And now here I am. And this is what I do full time. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. So
that is amazing. I love that. And now you said something there that I thought was really good. You said, don't wait on a crisis to be committed. Yeah. Now, I really love talking about this idea of commitment. And a lot of times when you think about people who are successful, people who are high level leaders and things like that, a lot of their genesis does come from a crisis. But How can people basically make that decision? Like when you think about becoming committed before the crisis, like what does that look like?
Yeah, you magnify what the consequences could be. Like a lot of times, what drives us, I've heard so many people talk about this, but the two driving forces in our life are the things that we love and the things that we are absolutely afraid of, or the things that we would hate to have happen. There's these two driving forces, and it's like we move towards what we love, we try to move away from what we hate, or what we don't like and don't want to feel that pain. And I think what really can help us to make and take action before it's necessary for us to, or to get started sooner than procrastinating on it, is really to magnify the consequences of it. You know, one of the things that I say all the time is that every choice we make, there's a cost and a benefit. Every choice, even if we might deem it as a negative choice, it's still, there's a cost and a benefit to it. And in that, I think if we look at it and say, well, if I don't get started on this, there's a chance that this negative thing could happen. I could miss out on this opportunity. I could squander the gifts that I've been given. My relationship could fall apart. I could lose the promotion or the job or the resources, whatever it is. It's like magnify that enough to say, you know what, the time to start would probably be now. And the more we can dial into a specific reason and get clarity on some reasons and some meanings, it gives us the feelings to begin. And sometimes I think people just feel this blah, negative, complacent feeling because we're being bombarded all the time with all these climactic marketing soundbite ads that are just bombarding our conscious and subconscious, and we become almost numb. And then when we don't feel anything, we don't feel there's any reason to get motivated or excited, or we just kind of exist. And I believe that one way that you can get started is to really magnify the consequence of what could this cost me if I don't do something about it. And the flip side then is, you know, what's the benefit? Magnify that. If this works, what could this mean for me? What could it mean for my family? What could it mean for my community? What could it mean for my friends? Well, who could I bless? What could magnify that? Stop. It's almost as if we play in this middle ground of no man's land where it's not bad enough to do anything, and we haven't made it compelling enough to take any action. So we just stay stuck in no man's land. And so I think magnifying some of that, some of the benefits, magnifying what it could cost us, really getting clear on that, can give us that jump that we need to take that first step. And many times, what I've found and heard by working with as many people as I have, it was just the first step that was the most difficult. Once I took the first step, then it's like I started to see, okay, I can do this. And then I build some momentum. And it's that momentum that broke me through these barriers that I had built in my mind that I thought might be able to stop me. And so I believe that's a big thing in moving from just talking about it into to some action.
That's good. And so one of the things I know a lot of people deal with when they are really trying to create that momentum that you're talking about is that they encounter fear, right? I'm certain like when you first started your career, there was a level of fear of like, okay, this is still unknown, even while I have magnified the consequences and the benefit. How can someone properly frame fear in a way that would cause them to focus on the benefit of the choice, the positive, productive choice, versus allowing the fear to, I don't want to say stuck because I feel like that's too bland. Like that causes them to slow down progress as opposed to like really trying to spend too much time in it. How would someone
Yeah.
navigate that?
I think there's two parts of things to look at there. I think one is examples and two is exposure. Now, I mean, let me explain that.
Mhm.
Number one is if you want to find someone that dealt and overcame lots of challenges, lots of adversity, lots of setbacks, lots of disappointments, maybe started, you know, on the wrong foot in the wrong community, whatever, you can find that by example, and you can find people that dealt with unbelievable amounts of adversity and things that could be very, very, very scary or cause them to feel very fearful in their life, but they chose to go ahead and do it anyway. There's story after story. You can find that anywhere. Like you can find it in a movie. So you can use the example of that. The other thing is exposure. Who you're exposed to unlocks the ability that is within us to step forward well and have support around us to keep us in line, moving in the right direction. You need people around you. That's who you're exposed to. That's why listening to something like this, having mentors, having a coach, having a pastor, having someone you can look to, it's important, because as you're exposed to that, that person can be the one that nudges you a bit and says, hey, I don't know how to do that. Maybe you need to take a look at this. And they provide something to us. They provide an angle and a perspective that maybe we have a blind spot to, or that we don't see. And so examples are things we can find in books. Exposure are people that we can find in real life that are around us. And what we want to be is we want to be exposed to that. We want to put ourselves in rooms. We want to put ourselves in situations. We want to be listening to people like this, what's going on here, that the exposure to that unlocks something in us and helps us to have more of a guiding post, more of an anchor to keep us moving in a direction that is in alignment and congruent with where it is that we would say we want to go. I think exposure is huge. I don't think it's any coincidence that you find people from uber successful, uber wealthy families, generational wealth, that the sons and the daughters are born and they go out into the marketplace and dominate because their parents had done it. A father, a mother had done it. They'd done it together. They had been exposed to success. And once you're exposed to it, you start going, could I have that? And when you get the right people around you, they're saying, yes, you can have this, and you got to pay the price. We paid the price, but they help you to stay. They help us to stay on that path of progress.
That's so good.
I think example and exposure is huge.
That is so good, because I also think, like, with it comes to that exposure piece, because you said that exposure unlocks ability. I think when people are intentional with those examples and exposure, it helps raise their standards. It helps raise their standard of, like, this is how I'm going to do things, right? Like, using your example, like you said, with the people that come from wealthy families and everything like that, it's like, this is kind of all we know, because this is the standard. Like, we think like owners. That's just what we've seen. Like, so the cost of success now becomes extremely normalized just because they've been exposed to it at such a deep level. So, like, those same fears, they don't navigate it the same. And one of the things that I've heard you say before, kind of just in line with this idea of how we have to make choices that are in line with, who we're called to be. You always say, like, I'm at choice. Can you go deeper in that?
Absolutely. So most people say, I'm always deciding, and then there's all these decisions to be made. And there's a term called decision fatigue. And decision fatigue, I don't know if you've heard that before, but this is where I'm making so many decisions through the day that I'm not in my line of trajectory of where it is that I want to go. I'm making decisions about, this thing with the kids. I'm making this decision about this person that I work with. I'm making the decision about what clothes I'm going to wear. I'm making a decision about how I'm going to pay that bill. I'm making a decision about what I should eat, what kind of, all these different things. And with that, the decision part, you get what's called decision fatigue. And so decisions and choice are not the same. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Decisions are the word decaidir. It's like, comes from like the word to cut. Decision is cutting away from something that you did before. I used to do it this way, or this is how my family did it. Now I'm trying to decide to do it different. I'm not sure. Choice has nothing to do with anything at all other than you're simply choosing to do it because you choose to. So decision has a lot to do with past. Living in choice is saying, I choose right now in this moment to focus on this. I choose in this moment, whether it's dealing with stresses at work, whether it's family stuff, whether it's sitting in traffic, whether it's, going to a restaurant and having the server not get your order right, or having to wait in line, or not getting your Starbucks order right. No matter what is going on, you choose in that moment presently. Choose. That's being at choice. And if you can tell yourself, I'm at choice right now. Like, I'm angry. Cool. You're choosing anger. Then you start to ask yourself, well, why am I choosing anger? And there's all these benefits to choosing anger, but there's all sorts of costs to them too. And we'll talk a little more about that, I think. But living at choice, to me, the idea of choice is that it is organic. It's not corrupted. It doesn't have residues on it of everything else. And I'm deciding this because I decided to do this because it's what my parents wanted. And I decided to do this because it's what my friends said I should do. So that when you say, you know what, I chose this because, and it's just because that's it. I chose it. I'm at choice. When I normally might get angry or frustrated, sad or mad, and I go, man, I'm mad or I'm sad. I'm choosing this. So I'm at choice. Then you start to play the game and go, okay, well, if I chose in, I could choose out. If I chose this, then I could choose that. It's freeing to live in choice. And that's where the circumstances stop beating us down so much. And then the memory and the recollection, or what I call the residue of all these things that I can recall of when it didn't work and when I was stressed and when I was afraid, all that residue goes away when I say, no, 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 right now I'm at choice. I choose in and I choose to take the first step in the direction of whatever said thing is. Very different way to live to say I'm at choice versus I just can't decide what, I just so tough to make a decision.
Right,
It's
right,
like, no,
right.
choose, let's go, choose. And the other thing, I'll give you this and we've beyond it. So many people are afraid of messing up. They're afraid of failing at something and losing. And what I've learned is there's no such thing as a loss if you get a lesson. Sometimes the loss, because you gain lessons and wisdom from it, the loss is better than the win. Because if you had won, you might not have reflected and gotten the wisdom. It's when it hurts. It's when it's difficult. It's when it's challenging. It's when it's stressful. When you've got to think like, all right, what is going on here? That's how you gain wisdom. People say you get wisdom from experience. It's not true. You don't get wisdom from experience. You get wisdom from reflected experience. And that is, I look at what's going on. I pull lessons from it. Even if it was a loss, I pull the lesson and I say, you know what? I can use that. So there's a win in here somewhere. And for me, when we win by choosing to look for the lessons, our wins per se, the lessons we learn, the wisdom we have, the wins become windows for other people around us to see out of and see what's possible. So if I win by looking for the lessons, then I can pass that wisdom on to someone. And that becomes the window where they start to see what's possible for them. And now we're back to exposure again. So they're exposed to good stuff the same way that we want to be exposed to good stuff.
Wow. That is so good.
All right, we'll
Like,
talk later. Bye, man. See
oh my
you.
goodness. That like so I want to go back because your framing of choice versus decision, I think, is so key, even for me, because I've always operated and also learned from individuals where it's like, no, you decisions, like don't make choices, make decisions, like cut off, who you used to be and go towards your dream and your goals, like decide who you're going to be today. And that was like the framing. And it's like, at least the way it was framed to me, it's okay, put boundaries, right? Put guardrails on the way in which you live your life. But the way you're describing choice, like, and you said it, but it's like the way I'm receiving it, there's really a freedom there when I choose to just live by choice. Like, I want this just because I want it. I want to, make more money simply because I want to. And this is what that looks like. I want to have a happy family. So I choose that. It's not because of anything. And I think that sense of freedom is really what is ringing loud as I'm like reflecting even on what you just said, because I just believe that's how we're called to live mentally. Because I think, I think about even just my own experiences where, I was so much like decision, decide to be great today, decide, decide, decide. And there does become decision fatigue because it's like, well, yeah, I don't feel like going to the gym, but no, I'm making a decision to go, right?
Right.
Versus, no, like I have the freedom to go and this is what I want to do because this is who I want to become just because. And I think that's so freeing. So like that's one thing I'm just like reflecting on in real time is based on what you said.
Yeah, think about this, man. Like when you get someone's voicemail, what's typically someone say? They say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I can't come to the phone right now." Right?
Yep.
The voicemail being very different of saying, "Hi, I choose not to come to the phone right now, but leave a message, and when I choose to, I will call you back." That's honest. Do you understand what
Right.
I'm saying? That's
Yes.
honest. Now, some people go, I can't believe that it would say, but look, this is the world that we live in. And so it's like, look, choice is where your power is at. When you're free of the burden of feeling like you have to do something, I'll give you guys something that'll be beneficial to you. Um, individually, but also if you work with a team, job, career, business, all that stuff. If the difference between have to and get to, I don't use the words have to. I don't have somebody, I have to go to work. No, you don't. You get to. There's consequences if you don't go, right? But you get to go to work. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I have to raise these kids. No, you don't. You don't have to raise those kids. Stop raising them. Somebody come get them. It's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to. You are at choice. Know that. When you start saying, I have to do this, you feel like a victim and you feel like you're out of control.
Wow.
When I use the words have to, I feel like a victim. I tell myself I'm a victim and I'm out of control. I have to do this. No, no, no. I'm at choice. I get to. I get to go to work. I get to do this podcast. I get to raise my kids. I get to work on my marriage. I get to work on my physical health. I get to. What a privilege, because it's like, man, I have to go to the gym. No, no, no. You get to. Some people don't have the capacity to be able to go. And you get to go to the gym. You get to work out.
Yeah.
And so when I move from that into this place of choice is where it's organic. That's where creativity flows. Is I'm choosing in today. I'm choosing to sit and write. I don't have to write. I'm choosing to write. I'm choosing to record. I'm choosing to tell my spouse that I care about them. I'm choosing to put a smile on my face. Nobody's making me do this. It's a very different way of living in that there's freedom. Most people would say, oh man, then that means everything is possible. Well, yeah, everything is possible, but maybe not everything is good. And so it's like getting the idea in your spirit that this is something that I am choosing to do for the betterment of my future, then I'm at choice. And if at any moment I realize what I'm focusing on and how I'm feeling isn't serving that, I'm choosing different.
That's good.
That's powerful. Choice, organic, in the moment, you're present. And that's where you begin to create.
I'm sorry to interrupt the conversation, but I wanted to take a moment to let you know and personally invite you to this year's Dreamer Symposium. On December 5th and 6th, we're hosting a leadership conference for you to create vision for the new year and grow in your self-leadership. So whether you're looking to climb the corporate ladder, whether you're building a business, or you're growing a ministry, it is important that in order for you to succeed, that you have vision and you lead yourself well, which is why this year's theme is resilient leadership, because it's not about what's happening to you, but it's about what you can make happen in your world. And you need to know that you are built to overcome. And in these 2 days, you're going to learn how, because resilience will be necessary. Because for you to build the life that you dream of, you're going to need to overcome some things. And so I would look forward to seeing you there on December 5th and 6th in Jackson, New Jersey for the Dreamer Symposium. Now let's get back to the episode. That is amazing. So talk with me about, because I know you also talk about like the idea of commitment, right? We talked about that earlier. How do these two work in concert? So, okay, I'm at choice. Anything is possible, but not everything is good. But then how does the commitment kind of blend into this idea of I'm at choice?
Every single moment you're committed to a choice. Everything you do is a commitment. If you say I'm not committed, you're committed to not being committed. People say I struggle with commitment. No, you don't. People come to my training sometimes and they tell me this. They're like, I just struggle with commitment. And I go, no, 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 no. You don't struggle with commitment. You may be the most committed person I've ever seen. You're so committed to believing that you struggle with commitment, that that's what you have. You're so committed. You are totally at choice in the moment. And so when I live from this place of choice in alignment with things that I have said I want to be committed to overall, which is an expression of gifts, talents, and abilities. I choose into that. That's commitment. And the difference here, let me tell you the difference. The difference is we use words like, I want something. And when I say I want something, my mind goes, if you say you want it, that means you must be committed to being that thing. Like, I want to be a good person and make a difference. Well, that makes you think you're committed to being a good person. It's not true. I want to be able to make contribution. Doesn't mean you are. I want to get healthier. Doesn't mean you're committed to getting healthier. And one of the phrases I say all the time, you don't get what you want. You get what you are committed to. Everybody, I say everybody, pretty much everybody wants better health. Pretty much everybody wants more resources. They want better relationships. They want people want, but we don't get what we want. We get what we're committed to. You can write out on a sheet of paper all the things that you say that you want. And then you can take that sheet of paper, ball it up and throw it in the trash and say, that doesn't matter. I'm going to make another list of what I'm actually committed to. Those lists have nothing to do with each other. You can want to be a great husband or a great wife. You can want to be a great spouse, but your commitment is to be selfish, controlling, manipulative. You can want it, but what you're committed to is not in alignment with that. They don't even go together. A want and a commitment, here's how I say it, are as different as a lightning bug and lightning. Some people think they're close to the same. Not the same.
Wow.
You know, a want is as far east as you can get. The commitment is as far west. They're as far apart as you can imagine. And in our brain, we think to the same. All I got to do is I want it. No. It didn't work that way.
That's so good.
You got to be committed to it.
So how does an individual, right? Because I can imagine there are people listening to us right now who have a long list of wants, and there's a lot of people who have you have vision boards, and these are the goals, these are things I want to do. How do they make that transition from, okay, I'm at choice, I get that, I'm at freedom to choose who I want to be, and just because, but now I want to go deeper. I want to go into like my commitments. Like, okay, I know how to look at my wants list. How do I start examining my commitment list and make changes? What does that process look like for them?
Well, first is it's a willingness to choose to start. So when you begin, here's the nice plug. So I got these 3 books. You ready? Look at this. These 3 books. People are like, are you an author? I'm like, no, I just write. And so I've written these books, right? Like, and the last one's called Colossal Considerations. I took all of these ideas that I'd written out in my journals over the past few years, and on one side of the page, I put a quote, right? A little statement by me, one of my quotes, and then I elaborate on it. Yeah. That's it. That's 17. The next one is 18. And there's 101 of these things. Wow. And you know what? It was a collection of my thoughts. I don't sit around going, I'm an author. I'm an author. No. I choose to write. Wow. And so you look at what you're willing to do in the moment. And here's what I'll tell you. Some people, this is a deeper conversation that takes a lot longer, but I'll give you a sound bite of it. Many people believe that action equals commitment. It doesn't. Result equals commitment. Whoa. Because you can say, listen, people believe action means commitment. Not true. You can go through the action steps. Like you can go to the gym and be in the gym and say, well, man, I went to the gym, but that didn't mean you were committed to lifting the weight. It didn't mean you were committed. I want to get stronger. Well, you lift some weight, but you eat the wrong food. You're not going to get stronger. You're going to get weaker. And so action and commitment. So that's a deeper dive. But here's what I'll tell you. It's a phrase. Information without assimilation is useless. And many of us think that if I can just get more how-to information, that's going to make me committed to making it happen. And it's not true. You can get all the information you want. You can get all the degrees that you want. You can get all the titles that you want. That doesn't mean that you're committed to producing said result. The way that you know you are committed to that result is that result has been produced. Until then, you've been committed to producing the result that's different than that. Wow. And so if I'd say, hey, my goal is to weigh 195 pounds, whatever, if I'd say that, right? Mm-hmm. Are you committed to 195? No. How do I know that? Because you don't weigh 195 yet. The way that I know you're committed to 195 is when you hit 195. Other than that, you've been committed to everything other than 195. This makes sense?
It does, yeah.
It's a tricky brain flip for people to realize that the results we're producing have everything to do with the commitments that we're living in. And so our commitment has a result. Every result has a matching commitment. And so when I start looking at this, I start going, man, well, how can I start being more committed? Well, what would I do if I was committed? Well, I'd take this first step, then boom, either I do it or I don't, bam, and I take the step. And that step moves me toward what I would say is my overall commitment. And this is a talk I had with a team earlier today. Make the list of things you want to take on. Okay. There's a book, it's called The One Thing. And in it, the guy that wrote it, he owns a very successful real estate company. The guy that wrote it, he talked about multitasking is for computers He's like, many people are like, oh, I can multitask. I can do all these different things. He goes, that's a computer term. A computer can switch from one task to the next without all the residue of emotion with it. But when you're dealing with your spouse, talking with your spouse, trying to work through things with your family, and then you get a phone call from a client or a team member or someone, you got to switch. It doesn't just happen just like that. There's a switching that goes on, and it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
But he talks about that we don't need things called to-do lists. What we need are success lists. To-do lists are long, success lists are short. And when you have a success list, this is the thing I attack. This is what I get after. I check that box no matter what. And if you feel like you don't have the energy or the momentum to check the big box, start small. Make a list of 2 to 3 things. And when you check that box, it'll release a dopamine kick in your mind, the reward center of your brain. You get a dopamine kick that feels good. And then you're like, well, if I did that, I can do this next thing. When I'm talking to teams about sales, I ask them, when the best time to close a sale is? You want to know the best time? The best time to close a sale is when you've just closed a sale, because you feel good. You've got your mind in the right spot. Your brain's kicking off those chemicals. Now I get on the phone and I start talking about selling the thing again. And so this is where it's like, okay, build the momentum by choosing in any moment to the thing that I say I want to do. Like I say I'm supposed to choose to go to the gym. That's what I said I was going to do. I'm doing it right now. Like, well, I got to get all my stuff together and pack my bags. No, I'm walking out the door. I'm going. Like, start doing that and stop giving yourself so much permission to talk yourself out of it. Man, checking those little boxes. What I said to the team was, you check the small boxes, the boxes get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And as I heard one person say one time, and I'll leave you with this and we can transition. He said, you can't put your excuses in those boxes that are supposed to have either a check yes or check no. Your excuses don't fit in the box. It's either a check yes or a check no. I did or I didn't do it.
Oh my goodness.
The excuses are everything else. There's no room for that.
Man, and that is so good. Oh my God. Wait, you said action doesn't mean commitment. Results equal commitment.
Yeah.
I want to let that sit for a second, because what that communicates to me is just like a raise of standard. It makes me think about when I was in the process of building my organization and learning sales and all that stuff. I had to learn that just because someone said yes in the sales conversation doesn't mean the invoice is paid. like that while I would get the dopamine of, yes, they said yes, oh my goodness, this is great. Yep. But then it's like, wait, I still have to send the invoice. Like, once that is paid, then we can celebrate. It makes me also think about when, again, I'm in the process of trying to grow and build. And I remember reading so many books. I'm watching podcasts, I'm reading books, and I'm doing all this stuff. I'm intaking all the information. And I'm like, why is nothing changing? Why am I not seeing the results? And then it's like, wait, I'm not doing anything. Like to your point about information without assimilation is worthless. Like, I'm intaking a lot of information. I'm reading amazing books. I'm learning a bunch, but I'm like, why am I not seeing? Where's the money coming in? And then it's like, oh, wait, I'm doing too much intake of information. I got to actually start applying this stuff. And once I kind of hit that point and I started applying it, that's when I'm like, oh, that's what it was talking about in that book. That's where that talks about. Oh, okay, now I'm actually in the game, right, versus I'm just studying game film. And so that is so good, because even with all of that, what I'm communicating for the person listening is that if you are trying to go from choice to commitment, raise your standard of what you consider a success. To your point of no, when you get the result, celebrate over the result more than just the action. Am I understanding that properly? I want to make sure.
Yeah. And let me make sure I'm clear on this. So let's say you go in basketball, you got the jersey behind you. We're talking about that. You can go on the basketball court and shoot 500 shots. And if you don't shoot them with intentionality, with form and technique, after those 500 shots, you can reinforce a way of shooting the ball that doesn't get you closer to increasing your percentage of hit shots. You can go to the driving range with a bucket of golf balls, and if you aren't intentional with each ball, focused on how you're gripping, how you're holding the club, do you know that after hitting a bucket of balls, you can reinforce a wrong behavior? And so just because you're going through an action step doesn't mean that it's in alignment with the commitment that you say that you want. And so you can reinforce through action a wrong type of outcome because you're not doing it with the right mindset. I'll tell you this, because you said of sales, I'll relate it to this. when people used to tell me, we do these conversations around commitment, people say, all right, I'm committed to going and making 10 sales calls. My answer went to, so I don't care about the 10 calls. The question is, what are you going to do with the 10 calls? That's the difference maker. What are you doing within those 10 calls? Because that shows what you're committed to. If you just want to get on the phone and do 10 calls and make friends, cool. There's a big difference between making friends and building finances.
Facts.
And so asking for the deal, and you say, hey, look, until that invoice is sent, listen to me. In the real estate world, it wasn't that the invoice was sent. It wasn't even that the deal was closed. You know how the deal was closed? Is when the funds had hit the account.
That's good.
It ain't done until it's like, oh, we signed the papers. So until that money has transferred hands, it ain't done. Until you got it in your hands and can do something with it, that deal's not done yet.
Whew.
So
That's so good. And I feel like, would you say that people are only able to grasp that for themselves through experience? Like, would that be fair to say?
yes, and I believe it's really neat to borrow other people's experiences, like using what we're talking about or experiences I've had, you've had, borrowing other people's experiences. That's the exposure part that we went back to. I said example, right? And then exposure, borrowing people's experiences in the sense of what they made it mean and how they felt it, other people's passions, other people's motivation and drive. You get around people that their reasons for doing what they do is to make huge contribution, and you hang with them and you start to see, oh, this person wants to make more money, not so they can drive a nicer car. They want to make more money so they can give back and drill wells in a country where kids are thirsting to death, dehydrated and dying. Like, that's a different type of thought process. And so when you get around other people, you can borrow their experiences. You can borrow that through exposure. And here would be a neat little talk on the side, is like, who are you borrowing the experiences from? If it's your friends and family and how they've been before, and you notice they aren't producing anything, why are you borrowing their stuff? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I got to listen to what, what was the movie Waterboy with Adam Sandler? He's
Yep.
always like, mama's right. All that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
maybe your mama wasn't right. Maybe your dad or your dad's dad, maybe they weren't right. It's like dad always says, or mama always says, it's like, so they could have been wrong. And that's okay. Maybe they did it with limited information, but who are you getting your information and your exposure from? Who are you getting those experiences from? Because until you have it, borrow it, borrow it, borrow it and use it. And like, if you're going to use it, if you came to my house and said, Ronnie, can I borrow your lawnmower? It's like, okay, you can borrow the lawnmower. You take the lawnmower. You take the lawnmower, but then I drive past your house and the grass isn't cut. And because I let you borrow my lawnmower, you took it and now I can't cut my grass. And you have my lawnmower and you haven't even cut the grass with it. It's like, wait a minute. It's like, I'm not going to let you borrow my stuff if you aren't going to do anything with it. So, Tron, people that I coach and that I work with, I'm like, look, if you're not going to take this on, if you're not going to commit to this, these calls stop, because I don't waste my time with people that at least won't be accountable to checking something off the list to move them forward. Because if you don't do the things that I request that you would do, if you choose not to and don't get the result, then you think you can blame me. And listen to me, you don't get to blame me. My stuff works. How do I know? Because it works for a lot of people. And so it comes back to a person choosing. You can use other people's stuff, borrow their experiences. That's a great way to get you moving forward towards what it is that you want.
That is so good. I appreciate that so much. Like, because I believe I'm at the beginning stages of what you just shared about, like, I know what I'm telling you to do works. Like, I know it. Like, it's undeniable, and I'm reaching a place of confidence even with, the individuals I coach and everything that I'm doing. And like, I do think a lot of times people aren't used to that type of pressure being put on them, because that nudge that you talked about earlier, like when you're expose yourself to people who, have kind of been there, done that, experienced that fear, experienced that obstacle, that challenge, whatever it is. And so now it's like they really have to, I guess, that they have to get used to the discomfort of someone else basically saying, no, like, either you're going to do this or you're not. Like, what's it going to be? What's the decision right now? Or what's the choice right now, right now, right now? And that's so good.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
When you walked on a basketball court at Virginia and you played with guys that were scholarship players, Division I school,
Mm-hmm.
when you walked on the floor and you started playing with people, did it elevate your game by playing with them?
1,000%.
Man, listen, I played when I was at North Carolina State, and I started playing pickup games with my roommate and the guys that played at NC State because he played basketball there. I remember, like, I was good in high school. I played well, but when I walked on the court and started playing with these guys that were on full rides to North Carolina State to play basketball, some which went on and went pro.
Mm-hmm.
When I started playing with them, it didn't take me but a second to say, "Oh,
This is
this is a
different.
different world." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is different. Like, and here's the thing that was crazy. This is what was crazy. Play with them, playing pickup games with them, and then through the summer playing all the time, being on the court with them. As I played with them, then when I would go play pickup games back at the gym with other guys that weren't on the team, I dominated because I rose to the level of my peer group. I rose to the level of what other people were able to do. And so in that, it's like, if you want to expose yourself to things that cause you to feel uncomfortable, and here's the mind trick. Many times, Teron, what people believe is that when they start to feel uncomfortable, that they're on the wrong path. That's what our brain goes is, oh gosh, this is uncomfortable. You must be doing it wrong. No. Maybe that's a sign that you are on the right path towards doing something that is far exceeding of what your old comfort level paradigm belief zone situation was. And breaking out of that means you're going to have to feel some stuff that is not comfortable. Maybe nauseous and about to puke because you're scared is exactly where you want to be, because it's in that chaos. As you learn to get control of that, your capacity gets expanded. You become more sure. You build confidence through that consistency. Maybe those feelings of, oh, this is a lot, this is another level, is exactly what you need to be around.
That's so good. Oh my goodness. Like that. So basically, if I'm understanding you properly, it's kind of you went deeper on the point that we've all heard of: get comfortable being uncomfortable. That the
Mm-hmm.
discomfort is a sign that you're actually headed in the right direction.
Yeah. And
That's
in
so
that, if
good.
we want to take the choice idea
Uh-huh.
and then we move on, but if I'm uncomfortable in a situation and I remain uncomfortable in that same situation, okay, if I
Mhm.
keep solving the same problem again and again, and we call it, circling the mountain
Yeah.
again and again, if I get so comfortable with that, that I'm not willing to stretch myself into something else that's uncomfortable, I won't change. But you can ask yourself the question, what is it that I'm telling myself? What am I choosing to focus on when I'm in this situation that's causing me to be so uncomfortable? Because maybe I could be in that situation and not be so uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Based
Yes.
on what I focus on. You know what
Yes.
I mean? What I focus on expands. And as I've said, is emotion follows focus, and focus is a choice. So ultimately, emotion is choice. We choose like there's knee jerk emotion, but it's what we're choosing to say and believe about something.
Yeah.
So feeling, I tell you, I deep dive on all these different things.
Go ahead. Go
Feeling,
ahead.
feeling has everything to do with what you believe. Let me show you how this is true. I'm walking down the street. I look down. There's a stick. I believe it's a snake. What do you think I feel?
Fear.
Yep. But then the moment I don't believe it's a snake and I see that it's a stick, what happens to the emotion?
Goes away.
It goes away. Emotion follows what you believe, and you believe based on what you focus on. And so the more I focus on the news and it's negative, the more I believe the world is going to hell in a handbasket and this is awful. And
Wow.
so I said, no. Then what am I choosing to focus on when I'm uncomfortable? Because you can be in a situation. I have gone into boardrooms with people that make more money than most of us could ever imagine. I've been in Manhattan and high rises with people that on Wall Street that make money that doesn't make sense. Oprah money, that kind of money, you know, hundreds
Yep.
of millions a year, that kind of money. And do you know that being in those situations can be uncomfortable? But do you know that getting control of how I choose to talk to myself when I'm in that environment is key to what I create within that environment? So I'm always at choice. And so if I'm uncomfortable, it's like getting comfortable being uncomfortable. It's like, yes, what are you choosing to focus on that can help you be okay when things look like they're not okay? That's called becoming skilled. That's called becoming grounded, connected. If you've ever been to an accident, or you've seen emergency people, EMTs show up to the scene of, you know, an accident or something. The EMTs don't walk up like they're panicked and freaked out and crazy. They walk up and they're very grounded. They're calm. They get a hold of emergency room surgeons, physicians. They're not freaked out all the time. No. They're focused. It looks like it's crazy, but inside, they're choosing to focus on things, think about things that cause them to be centered and grounded.
Wow.
And that's how you learn to be comfortable with uncomfortable. And then you set bigger goals and step into bigger things.
That's so good. Goodness, I know we could keep going for it, but let's turn the corner here.
Okay.
Uh, if you had to talk to someone right now who's listening to all of this, right, and they're like, okay, we talked about choice versus decision. We talked about how action does not mean commitment, how results are actually commitment. What would you encourage them with? And then what would you tell them to do? Like one thing.
Think about what you're thinking about, meaning, like the term watch what you watch,
Mhm.
like watch out for or look out for what you watch. Think about what you're thinking about. So, what I would say if I was talking to someone that was just starting out, I'd say, think about what you're thinking about, meaning, what are you focusing on? And if what you're focusing on is causing you to feel inadequate, not enough, can't do this. If that's what you're feeling, my question would be then, why are you thinking about that? Why are you giving space to that thought? So, well, it's just what I'm used to. Cool. Then become unobsessed with your old ways of thinking, unobsessed with your old emotions. Like we can become very addicted to ourselves. I'm going to give you this last thing because I'm going to give it to you. It's valuable. You know, you can close your eyes, Trevon, and you can think about something, and you know that your brain will kick off, no matter what the picture is you hold in your mind, your brain will kick off chemicals in alignment with that picture. Okay. You
Yeah.
can watch a movie that's funny and you giddy, you know, watch a romantic movie and then you're like, oh, I'm sappy in love, you know, all those different things. You watch a war movie or you watch boxing or fighting and then you're ready to fight. It gets you going. The pictures that you hold release chemicals. Okay. That's true. Emotions are chemicals.
Hmm.
Yeah, please know that. I mean, because if I can close my eyes and think about some funny thing that happened in this movie, then those chemicals are released and then I get to experience them. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
emotions are chemicals. You with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now think about that. Now I'm going to ask you a question. If you drink a lot of caffeine,
Hmm.
what's caffeine?
A chemical, basically, ain't it? Yeah.
Chemical. What's sugar? Processed sugar is a chemical,
Wow.
right? Narcotics, heroin,
Goodness.
it's a chemical. Chemicals. You ingest them, you get addicted to them. You need more of them. I hold a picture in my mind that my family was broke, my family was busted, there's all these dysfunctional relationships, all these people were crazy. I hold that picture in my mind long enough, it kicks chemicals off. Then I get addicted to that feeling. And now what I am is addicted to me. And when you become addicted to you, somebody like me comes along and goes, hey, there's another form. And people say, well, how do I break the addiction? You don't break addiction, you replace it. So
Goodness gracious.
what would I tell someone? I would tell them, think about what you're thinking about. And if it doesn't serve you to feel bold, courageous, worthy, and ready to rock and get after it, find a thought, a picture, wherever it is that you got to go. Search what you look for, you will find. Search for something that kicks off that chemical that gets you to say, you know what, I can take that first step. And when you take that first step, use that little win. We're talking about basketball. John Wooden said, you got to learn to polish the small trophies if you ever want to win the big ones. Look at the little things that you did well. Use that to fire off a good chemical to get you moving. Think about what you're thinking about and don't let anybody hijack your mind, because these people, I'm telling you, These people will hijack your mind and lead you down a path where you wind up going from useful to just being used. And you wind up getting played, and you're at a dead end street with a bunch of dead end people that aren't doing anything. And you think that's the norm. It's not the norm. It's not what you were created for. It's not what I'm created for.
Wow.
And so think about what you're thinking about. And if it doesn't serve you, shift it.
Wow.
And shift it quick. And you can. And you learn to play that game, man. It's amazing what happens when you get control of your thinking. Absolutely. And you can. It's not easy. It isn't easy. Listen, getting rid of some of those old thoughts and patterns, it's not easy. But your brain neuroplasticity shows us that when you think about something new, it designs new neural pathways in your brain. That's how you learn to ride a bicycle. They studied the brains of taxi cab drivers in London. Once they did MRIs, brain scans on them, they saw their brain. Then they let them drive and learn the routes in London. Then they scanned their brains again. Their brains looked completely different because they had learned new stuff.
Wow.
And so you act your way into a way of thinking, and you don't let your personality determine your personal reality. Put yourself into a personal reality that will change your personality. And guess what? The next thing you know, you become a new person. You're a new creation. You've renewed your mind.
Goodness gracious. Well, Ronnie, thank you so much. Like that, I told you guys that this was going to be good. But thank you like so much for just all the gems, all the wisdom. I know that somebody is going to take that step into choice and into commitment, like we talked about, just from the way you just gave, the way you taught is just absolutely phenomenal. So as we wrap up here, where can the people listening, where can they find you? How can they connect with you? I know you got your books. I would encourage everyone listening, get your books. But just where can they find you?
So RonnieDoss.com is my name, RonnieDoss.com, RonnieDoss.com. My books, all that stuff, they're available on Amazon. Just go into Amazon, type RonnieDoss.com. And we got books there. I have a podcast also. You can just hit the podcast button on your iPhone, type in Ronnie Doss, that'll come up. Got those things. And then my email, if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can reach out to us as Ronnie Doss, RonnieDoss at me.com. And people that, if you have a business and, coaching and teams and speaking on that, obviously that's what I do, but that's how somebody can get a hold of me. So RonnieDoss.com is our website. Ronnie Doss at me is my email. So
awesome.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Well, listen, for all of you guys that are listening, I would encourage you. My only favor that I have of you is to share this episode with someone that you know has a goal, has a dream, and simply wants to become a better leader, who simply has some goals and some dreams that they want to see in their life because they're at choice. And so I'd encourage you to make that choice and share this with someone that you know. I appreciate you. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Until then, keep building.